And Lakesh and Veritas Tavares. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. We're live. We're on a new streaming platform, testing it
Okay.
out. You look good. You look great. I see you with your kimono. Where's your sword at? You got.
Under my sleeve.
That's right. So somebody said you look like you just came back from the desert. Somebody told me you look like a camel herder, Tavares.
That was Tavares of Arabia from
Yeah, I got
Georgia.
that camel. I got that camel milk, 2 for 1.
Yeah. You're from the deserts of Georgia.
Yes, land of the red clay. That's a horse sound. I don't know what sound camels make. I'd like to think it sounds similar, but again, welcome. And so let's check and see. Looks like there's, okay, I can see that we have some people coming on. I can also see that it looks like our stream is strong. We got 4 people total. Okay. I'm seeing the live chat. Welcome, welcome. And look at studios here. And let's get this show on the road. So, welcome everyone. We are here on our new platform, and we're going to be talking about the Akasha today. And I'm excited about this because I got some kerosene, Laota got some matches, and we're about to burn down the distorted understanding about the Akasha through the illumination of the light. And so someone said, oh, hold on a second. Laota, it looks like your recording stopped on your end. You got notifications going. Our producer told us about that.
Yes.
Okay, it looks like you're back. All right, great, great. We're sorry, producer. We're sorry. We'll do better next time. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the Akasha, the truth of the Akasha. So we're going to be shining light on that this afternoon. And before we do, I want to go into some announcements, some updates about what we got going on with Another Sun. And so we are currently in the middle of 2 classes. One being Laota's frequency water class, and then we also have energetic protection and defense with me. And we are also in the middle of light body movement. So I want to just open the floor for you, Lau, to just share a couple of words and thoughts. First day of frequency water class, I know we were speaking about the frequency of purification, how we need to get clean out here, and just how impactful and important that is to be able to move forward courageously, to be able to move ourselves into greater levels of wealth. So, you mind sharing some thoughts or comments regarding your recent class?
Yes, the idea of frequency waters, we've talked a lot about the biophotonic quality of light and life and consciousness. However, the thing that I think is most important for people to know is that we cannot pretend that our bodies are not part of our ascension process. We cannot pretend that we can purify our souls and our bodies won't need purification also. So the entire multidimensional spectrum of the uh, unified field of the many lifetimes that we exist in and all of our ancestries must be purified for us to move further along the process of obtainment and understandings so that we can move beyond our current experiences to experiences that are more satisfying and more substantive, that give us more and that lead us to greater experiences. So the idea of purification is so multidimensional, and I have found that people often overlook the importance of making sure that they are healthy and that their bodies have been purified of whatever has accosted us in this lifetime, whatever thoughts, emotions, whatever foods and products and experiences, whatever we have breathed in or drank, whatever pharmaceuticals or medicines we have taken, whatever recreational drugs or thought forms, all must be purified. So we begin the frequency class with purification.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Laota. Again, it seems like, again, this is the foundation that's needed for frequency integration for the evolutionary process. And it is in tandem with our modus operandi, cleaning and clearing. That's what we specialize in. And this, from my understanding, it again puts our clients and our students in the position of being able to do for self, where they can be within the rhythm, within the lifestyle of cleaning and clearing. Again, thank you. And so we have a couple more people in the chat. Aria, sunshine emojis. Terry, I'm here. Welcome, Terry. So yes, we are in the middle of energetic protection and defense, and a very robust class. In the energetic protection and defense, we're laying down the foundation of who and what you are. Uh, Many of you who are chiming in are likely familiar with Lao Tzu's call for the truth divination cards, and one of the headliners for that class is one of the cards, and it is the theme protection. And the maxim is you protect yourself by knowing who you are. Know who you are. So the whole entire first day, we're going into the understandings of who and what are you in terms of your multidimensional self, but we're really focused in on oneness, how we exist in everything. So if you are unable to see that you are everything, that you show up in your family, your coworkers, your employees, everything outside of you, you won't quite be able to utilize the level of power that we're attempting to bestow upon another, well, which is really already in you. We're just trying to turn your face in this direction. Like, look over here. If you look through this lens of oneness, you'll see that everything's you. If you look to your left, you'll see you. So, in the class, laying down that foundation that there is power through seeing yourself in everything. And for those who are familiar with Inlakesh, we are using Inlakesh as the framework, oneness, So this is something that we encourage our clients to send yourself the frequencies of Inlakesh and Veritas, which is oneness and truth. So you can reinform your field that has been conditioned. We'd be saying, even my conditioning has been conditioned. Even our conditioning has been conditioned to operate as separate. And that's why we suffer. So Inlakesh helps release the suffering because you get to see yourself, not only in the negative, but in the positive. You can see yourself. So it's a very full experience. And again, we just getting started. We haven't even had breakfast yet. And so, yeah, 2 more days for each class. So if someone is still interested in joining, it's not too late because for all of our classes, we have the recordings for every class, and the class documents are uploaded in the Google Drive as well. So also, a quick little announcement as well. Uh, because we're talking about the Akasha, we have an upcoming Akashic Records reading class that's going to be in the month of July. So this is one of our more intensive advanced classes. And so we're going to have those dates and the links for you available as well. So you can join. It's already on the website. You can already sign up. You can even contact us at contact@ofthesun.com by email to get more information. We can even work out some deals for you. If uh, One of the things that we say is, the earlier you connect with us and show us that you want to be part of this, the more that we can do for you. The later you wait, the more we will commit to whatever the current price point is. So, the sun shines on everybody. We're looking to give life and help a brother and a sister out. So just reach out and open that throat chakra and see how we can be of service. And also, we're excited because we're going to have a new live show coming up this Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern. So, for those who are on here, mark your calendars. It's going to be quite exciting. I was told to not spill too many beans, so I'm going to keep my jar sealed. Cracked a little bit. It's cracked a little bit. Just tell you to join us. We're going to have a good time. We got some more people, Lota, that are chiming in. We got CC and Lakesh and Veritas from the Root Farms, handling blockages on every hand, that drowning feeling. I'm trying to keep up my energy. Stay on the line. I guarantee you your energy is going to shoot up. I had a client on the phone yesterday, and I said, how you feeling today? Well, she goes, 20% better now that I'm on the phone with you. Why? Because we are the sun. You get into that sunshine, you're going to get your energy, you're going to get your nutrients, you're going to get that life force that you need. And again, we are teaching people how to do that for themselves, to be the light. We're in the middle of our light body movement. We also encourage you, if you're looking to learn to cultivate and pull in light, and I'm not talking about no abstract, yeah, line your chakras. No, I'm talking literally pull in biophotonic light, ignite the energetic matrix of each one of these energy centers, see how that shows up in your reality, see how it shifts your consciousness, see how you step into more of your power. And again, you light up, you become the sun, right? So, and then you can hang with us and we can be a bunch of solar bodies lighting up the planet. This is what we're doing here. I'm going on and on. I'm on fire. You feel that light? Lau, so you got some thoughts on this about light body movement at all that you want to share before we dive into our curriculum?
And just like to remind people that we are of the sun, each of us. That is Tavares of the sun. I am Lota of the sun. And we are biophotonic beings by design, by creation. Our blueprint was that of biophotonic solar beings. And so what we are doing is just resuscitating, bringing back, calling forth our original blueprint. This has been in a mystical way presented in our world, but it is not mystical, it is literal. But we have not asked for it because we didn't know it was an option. It is not only an option, it is available to those who want it. You are weaponized to get what you want through your will to have it. So we encourage people to join in with this community moving towards solar maximum of our own. So the sun is having a solar maximum in the greater galactic experience, and we are having a solar maximum through Light Body. Join us.
Yes, yes. I like the part when you said, we didn't even know it was possible. We didn't know. Now you know. If you don't know, now you know. Okay, so get on board with like-minded souls who are in the process of cultivating in a practical sense. So again, welcome. You got a lot more people joining in into the comments and into the live stream. Shelly, greetings, Sun family. Stacy, Inlakesh and Veritas. Blue Ear, Inlakesh and Veritas, welcome, welcome everyone. All right, so let's dive into it. The truth of the Akasha. I'd like to start here. I want to give thanks and honor to, there's a woman out there named Lao of the Sun. You've probably heard of her. And we share something in common. Uh, we are known to be heretics. If anyone's familiar with the human design system, our profiles are similar, where the personality is to come in and burn down what needs to be deconstructed to build something new. Lauta is a forerunner, she's a trailblazer for new ideas, and oftentimes it requires a dismantling of certain ideas that have had levels of distortion that would keep us from really operating within the fullness of those ideas in a very self-empowering way. And I'm speaking about the Akasha. I learned how to read the Akashic Records. It was well over a decade. And, I had an instructor who learned from a very renowned person in the West who wrote books on this. I mean, they were the it. And so my tutelage, let's just say, I was connected with the source of that info for Western civilization. And, I got some interesting stories that I'm not going to quite dive into it yet, but it was over the years of working with Laota that I was shown that there are other ways to understand what the Akasha was. And I saw that the way the Akasha was presented online, because, at this time, I'm Googling, I'm researching, I'm trying to get nuggets from books and lectures and seminars. And she would tell me, you don't have to do it that way. And, I was just stuck in my stuckness, just like, nah, but this is the way I was taught. This is the way I got, in the limitation. And then one day I broke through and it changed everything. And because we're both heretics, I was like, where's my kerosene in my light? I got to burn this thing down because the way I was taught was so limited. It was so limited, and it doesn't take account for the universality of how people see and hear and interface with the unseen. And so, and then I had my own constructs and preconceived ideas about the Akasha that came from media and, again, other books and lectures that were fragmented but didn't really quite fit together. So, like I said, I got some stories. I'm a hold off on them. I'm a hold my camels, right? I'm a hold my camels, not my horses, my camels. Lauta, where would you like to begin with this idea of establishing the truth of the Akasha?
I would like to bring everyone to the clarity that all things are recorded. Not only are all things recorded, but all the things you do are recorded and all the things you don't do. They become the filler between the sentences, so to say. This person went and saved the child, and then the other people who were watching didn't. That, that's there's two layers of, there is everything you have ever done and thought and said, and then there is what has not been thought and said in the circumstance. So there is more than the way we think of it. In the West, we've been taught to think of it in the same way we have thought of libraries. We think of the Library of Alexander and all of the historic libraries as being places of repositories for information, either stacked on stone tablets or written on parchment or later bound in books. That's how we think of it. That's not the only way to understand how information is stored. Then as we move further into technological understandings, we recognize that we may have been doing highly technological things a million years ago, and now we're just getting back to it. So they might be on a microchip. So you might, instead of strolling down the hall in the library, taking out a book, you might be touching a microchip and the information become available to you. And this is where I was hoping at the time that you were talking to me a long time ago, I was hoping to let you know it is not being bestowed upon you by a teacher who has learned how to tap into it. It is yours. Everything you have ever done and said, and that has ever been done and said as part of humanity and beyond in this dimension and in others, is available. And the ancient mystics and the Sufis of the East and the mystics of the West have written about it in their poetry. They'll talk about sitting in the silence and pulling in information. So it has always been understood, but it's also to be understood that everything is one thing. Everything is a hologram of everything else. So just as you could sit on a desert mound in your current outfit, place you with your outfit.
Don't forget my camels.
With the camels, and
Forget my
you
camels.
could pull forth all of the necessary information for the idea for which you are thinking, and all things that are tangential to that idea, which is in fact how the brain works. The system of how the brain works is the system of how everything works. That when you think a thought, within 17 seconds, you start to feel the ideas that are tangential to it. So you talk to an old person and they say, you're talking about schools, and they say, well, when I was young and we didn't even have shoes and I had to walk 5 miles, and then all the ideas tangential to it. So every time you get close to that idea, the ideas that are tangential to it, you hear that story, because that's the way the brain works. The brain works that when you come into proximity of something you're interested in or looking for or searching for, within a few seconds, the tangential information floods in, and we see it in our lives, especially when we talk to people who repeat the same things when we're in the vicinity of what that is. So this is the same principle. When you're sitting somewhere quietly and you're thinking about something, that information begins to find its partners, and then those things that are tangential to it. But it doesn't just exist, so to say. It's been described by many mystics and many holy people as being able to pull the answers from the sky, but it doesn't really only exist that way. The Akasha is you. The many multidimensional layers of who you are that goes with you when you leave this experience, when you exit this experience and go on to your next experience, comes with you. In the same way that people who do frequency medicine can listen to your voice for 10 seconds and identify everything that's going on and has gone on with the body from a decade ago to 50 years ago to half a century ago. It is the same principle, and we can see it in motion, and that's why the frequency carries it, and that's why the frequency medicine works, because it can be identified in every aspect of you, whether it's with them looking in your eyes or hearing your voice or looking at your fingerprints or any of these things. So the Akasha is us. We are the history of this universe and beyond. We are the, so to say, dust of the galaxy. And on that tiny bit of dust is the imprint of everything.
Let that breathe. I'm serious. Let it breathe. Marinate in this. I think this is a game. I don't know if you all understood what she said and the how this is so contrary to how the Akasha is taught. People teach you that the Akasha is something that exists outside of you. Lao Tzu's like, no, you are the Akasha. That completely changes how we perceive what we're interfacing with. Do you feel what I'm saying? This, I said something in a video on my social media that really lands for me, and it's one of the reasons why I've consistently stayed with Of the Sun. One of the many reasons, because there's so many wonderful things, but this idea of if you're working with an instructor, a healer, a practitioner, anyone who may be positioned in authority as a guide, and they're not pointing you back to you, we have a problem. There's something off with that. And so what she's saying is you're all that is. You are the Akasha that exists within you. It's not something external. Now, I want to speak on what I have how I've been taught about the Akasha. I was taught that it's a place you go to, it's a dimensional place, and you're given like a type of prayer or some level of activation to access it, right? And you get your GPS to get to this place, and when you get there, it's like you're in a library of some sort, and you're walking down halls of the library, and you're guided to go two aisles down and then bust a left, bust a right, bust another left, and then pull a book off the shelf that contains information associated with a past life. And so you're literally reading the records. Now, I will say that uh, I can see how that may be an experience for some, but let's say the person is not visually activated and functioning in that way to where they see themselves walking down the Akashic library halls of everything that was ever recorded, and to pull that book with the information from the lifetime, then what then is their third eye broken? Is it just not can't get right? Is the system malfunction? Do they need their software updated, Lauta? Does this
I'd like to actually speak to this. When you think about the millions of years that humanity has existed beyond what religions tell us, and you think about the people who live on isolated places in primitive times that had no libraries, would they be denied the opportunity to view their past lives because they don't have the imagery of what a library looks like? Of course, this is a useful visual for those who have had those experiences, but many exist and have existed on this planet and beyond who have tapped into the Akasha, who have no idea what a library looks like. We could talk about the Aboriginals. We could talk about people who are on islands that are isolated. We could talk that are spiritually in great acuity. So the imagery is useful and it's excellent for the ones who it's useful and excellent for. But all of humanity, all of those who are looking to know what has gone on before, it's built in. The program is
Mm,
divine, it's available, it is not separate from us. And so when we think that way, we separate ourselves and glorify someone who figures out a prayer and makes us familiar with what we're familiar with. So it could just as easily be walk down the aisles of a grocery store and look into the frozen food department
that's a good
for
point.
all of those who are familiar with that and pick up
Yeah,
the vegetable that represents a vegetable you had 3 lifetimes ago. It could just as easily be that.
yeah. One time for the foodies out there. Yeah, that makes sense though. That makes total sense, and I can see that it's not necessarily that it's wrong, right?
No,
But I can see how if we look at it like this is the only way, this is the one way to access what has always been. It is very limiting, very limiting. So again, I love how you point us back to self. You point us back to it exists within you, and there's so many beautiful examples that you gave that speaks about the holographic aspect of reality, like with the palm of our hands, our feet, our ears, our teeth, our spinal column, et cetera, and you can in every gram is the whole, right? You often say that, and uh, we're it's so poetic, but you're stardust. You're stardust.
well, I would like to share that there, the aspect that of the portion of humanity that would like to be in a secret society, it feels really good to be like, nobody else can get it unless you like turn around 3 times in moonlight and throw up chicken bones,
Mm,
and, bow 3 times to all the winds of the north, east, west.
yeah.
All of that, it serves the purpose of those who are oriented in that way. And this is why there's so many secret societies, because people want it to be not accessible. They want whatever is magical and powerful to only be limited to a few. So
Mm,
that's very attractive to that level of development. But that's just not the truth of creation. The laws and principles are available, and they are available to all based on the willingness to want it. You have to come to the equation wanting or asking, and that activates what will come to you. And that is the key of the Akasha. Wanting to be in the Akasha is everything. It then activates and weaponizes you to unlock the locks that keep you out.
mm. So desire, intent, in the
Asking,
asking is the giving.
yes.
We go. In the asking is the giving. Write that down. That's one of her quotes. In the asking is the giving. I'm still processing that, just so y'all know. So there's a couple of different things I wanna shift gears on. We're still talking about the Akasha here. So we got a couple of people joining in. Welcome everybody. We see you in the chat, in Lakesh and Veritas, everyone. We are talking about the Akashic Records, the truth of the Akasha, and we just finished covering a little bit of history, like what's out there, the status quo understandings, and the different limitations that are associated with that. And also was just laying down some truth for us, some shining the light of truth on it, where the ultimate truth is that the Akasha exists within you. You are the Akasha. You're part of the field of all that is. And essentially, you just got to turn your face and desire to tap into the information. One of the things that I came to understand when you open me up into this perspective, matter of fact, I want to take it back. I want to take it back to my initial experience with the Akasha and how my development process brought me to where I am now. May I do a little story time? Okay, so all right, get your marshmallows, your vegetarian-based marshmallows, plant-based, and get your fire. So when I first learned to read the records, again, I had a lot of the preconceived ideas of what that would be like. And I was part of that group of people who were thinking, okay, I got to open my third eye and I got to take this Ormus gold and I got to do this and that to pop it open. So when I took the class, I read the activation prayer and I was waiting for a hologram to pop out like, bow, vroom, vroom, like what I've seen in the movies. And so I read the activation and I hear crickets and I'm looking around like, damn. And then so I read it one more time because maybe I didn't enunciate right. You got to get, like, nothing happened. And I'm thinking, again, my third eye's broken. Like something's not functioning. And I'm like, why are they able to see and I'm not able to see? So it, I was saddened. was like, this is not what I thought it would be. And I didn't pay some money for this. So, anywho, time passes and I'm speaking with Lauta, and this is before I was working with Of the Sun, like actually like working as a practitioner and administrative. I was working with you as a client, and you pointed me in the direction of my feelings, which that was something interesting that I had avoided most of my life. And you said like, work with what you got. You feel, so go into your feelings. I was like, okay. And so I did that, and I began to discover that I could see through my feelings. And it's like being in the records. I would open the records. This is how, once I had that understanding, I opened the records, and then I'm just kind of there, like, what am I feeling? What am I sensing? And then information would arise through my feeling, and I would visually see stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm reading the records. And it was a wrap. It was a wrap. And one of the other cool things that accelerated the process is I would do automatic writing in the records, and I began to. That's where my gift of writing came forth, and I began to see it's different. It's not just this one way of doing it, and I broke the mold. But then fast forward, now this is when I was actually working as a practitioner with Of the Sun. I remember Lao Tzu saying she hinted several times, but you know how you think you know everything, and like, man, I got this. She would say, there's other ways you can access the records. I'm like, I know, mom. I know, mom. Got it, got it. And then one day, I don't know what it was, but I was receptive and open to the information that she had regarding it. And it was wild because she told me to read her records. And it's like, whoa, I don't want to read Lotus records because people are a little nervous. But she asked me to do it, and it was in a way that didn't require no prayer or none of that. It was everything that she was teaching us today, sharing with us. Like, do it this way and tell me what you see. Go ahead, read my records. What? It was intense. It was intense, Lauta. I don't know if could you feel like how I felt with you? Like, I'm reading the sensei's records. So it was like, So I read it. Let's just say I got an A. I passed, right? And I was able to bring forth information on behalf of Lautz's her field of the Akasha, right? And again, that was another pivotal moment that completely changed my life and my perception of the records. And it was that day moving forward where, like I said, I got the kerosene, I got the matches, and I was like, let's burn this down. We got to teach people this. We got to show people a new way, because that's very limiting, because I was limited and it stunted my growth. And then ever since then, I've been reading the Akashic records through under the umbrella of the Sun for over the last decade plus. And we've had several classes for Akashic records back in the day. And it's an honor to bring this back. People are hungry to access what is within them, and it's already happening, but at varying levels of degrees. So that's my story. Burning down the records, or at least the distorted understanding of the records. You have any thoughts on this, Lauta? Any feedback?
Yes. I'd like to share for everyone who's on the line, those of you who are clearly aware of your gifts and working on them, those of you who are just having your gifts emerge into your awareness, that what you are familiar with, work with that first. So if what you're interested in, what Tavares was interested in at the time, he had not opened as he's open now, but everybody can feel. Everybody feels what it feels like to walk down the street and see someone that makes you want to walk across the street. We all feel that. Everybody can sit in someone's chair and feel that, oh, this is an uncomfortable place for me to be. Let me get out of this chair and just stand up. So work with what is already available to you. That's the most important thing that you can possibly do. And so the experience you're sharing is really the experience of working with whatever's available to you. If you can see, then work with seeing. If you can hear, work with hearing. If you know that you can feel, work with feeling. And let that be your North Star. Let that take you to the next place. Not everyone is the same. Not everyone has the same experiences. There is no right and wrong to it. You are free to have whatever experiences that you have within your psychic blueprint. And the information is in all of them. I have seen Tavares speak to those who are, in fact, in charge of the records, the ones we call
Right.
the lords of the records, because every body of knowledge and intelligence has within it those who are the parameters and the gateway to higher levels of it. So just because where you enter doesn't mean that's where you're going. There may be 5,000 layers deep that can be gone, but if you can get in the door, you're in the room. So there are those who can take you further, and there are those that some of us can speak to if we need clarification. If I need to know about what happened to the royal family in England and why recent people have been allowed into that family and what's going to happen in the future, there are those I can go to speak about that. They will come forward at my request and give me the necessary information that will take me further into understanding so that I may be of service. So that happens at another level. And so these kinds of things are available to all of us, but it's really your willingness to ask and your desire that fuel everything, including, the things we see in the world. Like, how does someone get Amazon? How does someone get to be Elon Musk? It is from their asking and their willingness to move forward.
It's funny you say that. I'm thinking about something you said earlier, which connects to this. There are so many different people who have tapped into the Akasha unknowingly, and some understanding it through different language. I'm thinking about Nikola Tesla.
Yes.
Dude was tapped in. He was getting information, and he was speaking with beings and this and that, and he had an understanding that he was connecting with the field of memory, the ethers, the Akasha, which is the ether, right? And you know how they say is nothing new under the sun, because everything already exists within the field and the potentiality of what will be. And this is somebody who's a scientist tapping into that, and I think that this is always happening with humans where, uh, and even when we have a shared thought, we're pulling it from the field, the field of memory. And there's another idea that I understand. Actually, matter of fact, I want to ask you this because you've spoken to me about this over the years, and it took me a minute to really understand it. And it's this idea that all the work that Of the Sun does is Akashic work. Would you expound on that? Because I think that would help clarify sometimes when people ask, well, how are you able to connect with my soul? Or how are you able to do this and do that? And it's because the Akasha.
It is a reality that we are only in the one moment. There is only the eternal now. There is no other moment. But our field of perception does not allow us, with two strands of DNA and in the third dimension, to be able to perceive all the different experiences that are going on. So everything that has ever been recorded or that will be recorded is happening in the now moment. So our point of power is in the now moment. If you can bring yourself, if you're sitting at your desk and you're looking at this video and you're also eating lunch and you're looking around the room, you're not fully focused in the now moment. But if you can bring yourself into silence and alignment and into the now moment
Mm.
with the focused clarity of what you want to know, or the general idea of where, if you want to know what does it feel like, or what is it like to be another kind of life form, that can happen. And it may take time for that to happen. It may be that it takes 10 or 15 minutes of focused effort. for you to be able to have that experience. That may be the case, but it is available to you through the silence. That is the doorway in. You won't get it with pop-ups, your phone ringing, with people in your office, with phone, with people trying to talk to you and asking you to make something and cook dinner. And that's not where that comes from. It is inside of you. And it has to be in the silence of it with the clear focus, or you get into silence and have no focus and see what arises, which will always be what your desire is.
Yeah,
So that is the reality. Learning how to do that is a process.
yes, yes. I want to double check to see if my audio is coming in strong. I got someone who said I came in a little low. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you, but I'm not sure about anybody else.
All right, I turned the gain up. I'm using. We're doing some new things here. We got some new mics and little audio dials, and we're on a whole new server, or not server, excuse me, streaming platform that's connected to the YouTube. So we appreciate the little hints here and there. Don't leave us hanging. If you see something, say something. So going back to what Lauta was saying, oh my gosh. You mentioned something that I wanted to expound on about how you can put yourself into the experience of like another life form and see what that's like. And the silence is what's needed. And when you were saying that, I could see how it is so possible, but how sometimes we have these limitations that stop us from accessing that level of experience. Would you speak about that? Because
Oh my goodness. Yes, you can get locked out by your own bias. You can get locked out because someone told you that this is wrong. It's wrong for you to know anything that's not happening in front of you in the office or in your family, or that's devil's work, or that's something that, whatever limitation makes you less than you are, that's your bias. So anything that says, no, you can't, is probably not the truth. Now, whether it's appropriate for you to do it at this time, that may require some consideration.
That's right.
However, often we are so limited and damaged by the need for our society to cultivate us to be smaller than we are, so that we can fit into the packages that are easy to manage and herd.
Ooh, one more time, louder for the people in the back.
This whole idea of making us think that we are not all that we are, that you can't go and get no information from the past. You can't know what your grandmother was thinking, but I can. I can talk to my dead husband. And I can, and I like him a lot more now. There's a lot more things that we get along much better.
True story, you all. This is so true. It is so fascinating to see.
So these things are not something that is beyond you, and it's not something that you need to be afraid of. And anyone who tells you that is trying to keep you smaller because they don't understand it. This is your birthright. You are life. You are the galaxy. You are the dimensional world. You are life, and you are available to be in touch with what we think is of death, but there is no death. There's only, as the religions all say, life after death. There's only life after death, and before death, there's only life.
Yeah. Lauta, there's a dancing lady who's signaling me. We got to cut to commercial break.
Okay.
That's how we know, y'all. Somebody starts dancing in the background, one of the live audiences, and they're like, all right, that's our cue. So we're going to go to a quick commercial. We want to thank everybody for joining us, by the way. We see you all in the chat. We're going to get to some of your questions. There's some really great questions in here after this commercial break from our sponsor, Aluka Gold. So just a few seconds, you all.
If you're a conscious investor looking to make a difference, you need to hear about Aluka Gold. Because doing good and doing well isn't just a dream, it's our promise. Let's face it, Everyone wants their money to work harder. But what if your gold investment could do double duty? Aluka Gold is more than just precious metal. We're committed to ethical sourcing and total transparency so you know exactly where your gold comes from, and who it helps. Every ounce you invest helps support real miners and their communities with humanitarian projects and fair wages. That's not just good business, it's good for the world. You get solid, physical gold, plus the pride of knowing your investment brings hope and opportunity to families who need it most. So why settle for ordinary returns when you can spark extraordinary change? Invest with purpose. Invest with Aluka Gold. Do good, do well, and let your gold investment shine brighter than ever.
Shout out to Aluka, aluka.com. Visit this website for any of your asset protections. We give thanks, honor, respect, and gratitude to Alex in Dubai for sponsoring the podcast. So we thank you. And again, get that gold. That's where we're shifting, assets and precious minerals. I know you all see what's happening. This podcast is not about that, but visit the website, get some more information on that. And so we're getting back to the Akasha. We've spoken about a lot of different things today and really laying down the foundation of the truth of the Akasha. And you've really been going in, Lau, to giving us greater understanding. And I would say one of the major takeaways that I have had from this talk is the idea that the Akasha exists within you. And when you have that understanding, everything else makes sense. The idea of genetic ancestral memory, what is that? The Akasha. All of that, the Akasha, right? Past life information that's stored in the DNA in the cells, the Akasha. It's just all these different facets that are separated to perceive and understand this field of memory and intelligence where everything has been recorded, as you say. And all we got to do is turn our face to it and start peeling back the limitations and understanding that we can access this because it is us. So there's so many different understandings with this, but let's at this point, let's jump into the chat, see what some of these folks have to say. I know there were some pretty good questions. Some of the people in here were enjoying the stories and the understandings that helped expand them. Let's see here. Yeah, Julianne says, love this talk on the field, and Akasha is written in the Tibetan tantras and the yogas. She says, how can we use the Akasha to heal old beliefs on scarcity, etc., not worthy, etc.?
The idea of not being worthy comes from the structures that have been the cultivation of the pain, suffering, limitation, poverty of humanity. Anything that makes you less than the divinity that you are is against life. The way that you determine, when you have a voice inside of you that says it's not worthy, I encourage you to do what I teach those who are having bipolar events or psychiatric events. Tell it it's lying. You're a liar. If you say I'm not worthy, you're lying. Turn up. Speak directly back to that voice. Put that voice down inside of you. It is not the truth. It is a lie. If it arises through your DNA, if it comes in through your bone marrow, if it tells you you're not pretty, you're not going to be rich, you're not going to be anything, speak back to it. You're lying. You are a liar, and continue to say it. Nah, 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 you're a liar. You're a liar. Don't listen. This is what I actually do with people who are hearing voices, and this is really no different. The thought that arises that makes you feel like you think that the voice you hear is you. The voice you hear is not you. That is the voice of anti-life that has permeated humanity through your lineage, through the generations, through the suppression of women. That is the voice of anti-life, and you cannot be silent or you consent to believing it. If you let it stop you, then you have been stopped. You rise up and say to that voice, you're a liar. I am a divine being created by creator. Get out of here. And that's right. That's right. Whether you got that voice from religion or your parents or your grandparents or from the field, whether it's the mass consciousness trying to tell you that you're nothing, it is not the truth. Rail against it. Do not acquiesce. Disobey that voice. That's my comment.
Hey, I got a couple of thoughts on this. There's some times when I hear Lalta, I know she in the consult, and I hear, "You're a liar." So, oh, she's schooling somebody. She's teaching them how to talk to the. But for real, I have found that that does work to speak to the sentience of these things like guilt, fear, doubt. They are alive and they have a voice that attempts to convince us to perpetuate that behavior so it can continue to exist as it is. You know, fear and doubt don't want to die, and it needs us to continue it on. So I love it, but it puts that, I know it seems kind of funny, but also like, whoa, that's different to like talk to the thing, but it puts us in the truth of what reality really is, that these energies are sentient, they're alive, and you got to reject it. You know, you got to affirm another reality. So I thought that was really great. And we trust that this served you, Julie. And oh, for some reason we can't hear you audibly, Lalta. Oh, it looks like Lalta popped out. All right, just a few seconds. Bear with us, everyone. We're gonna work on getting Lalta back into the stream. Send him a little message. Hold tight, everyone. Okay, it looks like you're coming back on. Okay. Dang, I can hear you, but that's because we in close proximity. I see you, but the audio is not being picked up. Camera lady, do what you do. Okay, look like she bumped off again, like they're making adjustments. We appreciate you all holding tight, so I'm gonna man the wheel until she returns back. So, okay, and she's back. Let's see.
Can you hear me now?
Ah, there we go. There we go. Camera lady helped out. Good, good.
I
Give
may
you a
have
little
been
raise.
too forceful with the voice that was not me.
It'd be like that. Shout out to everybody who stayed in the chat. It seems like everyone was like, we're not going nowhere. We're patiently waiting for Lalta's return. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
I encourage people to actually use that technique. When a voice comes up, Juliana, this was an excellent question. When a voice comes up that is against you, that is anti-life, that is not in support of your divinity, rail against it with the same energy at which it came to you. So don't whisper, oh, go away.
Yeah, don't be passive with it. Stop that. Stop that. I'm gonna tell a story real quick. So there's a client that Lotus was working with, and this client was being messed with entities, right? And there's stories and experiences, case studies that we've had with entities that want to do stuff with people when they're going to bed. And I'm talking like sexual stuff, right? And you know, she'd be walking around the house, the entity she'd feel somebody poke her butt and like, stop that. No, stop that. It's like, no, you gotta go, okay? You gotta get out of here. And that level of assertiveness is needed, you know, and come on now. So it's holographic, but again, I think that this is, again, very practical and applicable. So we're gonna start wrapping up here. We're gonna dive into maybe one more question and share with you all some announcements. And while I'm scrubbing through the questions, just to get to one more, So again, Laos is in the middle of her frequency water class. Day 2 begins next week, Tuesday. And guess what? It's not too late to participate. That's right. You can join in to learn how to work with the frequency waters. You are water, you are biophotonic. And this is really frequency entrainment, learning to integrate frequencies into your frequency bandwidth. You know, we are a myriad of different frequencies, not just a singular frequency. We are an amalgamation of different frequencies that are broadcasted, and it shows up in our materialized reality and also within our inner world. And so we're working with the frequencies of purification, courage, and wealth. And these are three very potent anchors that are favorable for, I think, everyone, just to say. And then we also have energetic protection and defense class that we're in right now. I'm currently teaching that class where, again, get your spiritual sword, get whatever you need, your joy, your peace, and weaponize it to elevate yourself into a higher frequency to offset psychic attacks, parasitic manipulation, and other forms of low vibrational energies that can pull us in from our grace and elevation. So again, very practical, very tangible, but you got to know how to defend yourself out here. You can't be passive. And then also we have light body movement that's still ongoing, can't stop, won't stop. And this is our movement where we are in a group collective, a group collectively moving as one to practically implement the activation of light within us. And so we're having some raving experiences. As a matter of fact, when we're done with this live stream, we're going to do a podcast talking about it, right? So you all can chime in, get a little taste of what's happening, because it's breakthroughs, you know, this stuff about activating Kundalini, and that's a whole nother thing. We done pulled out the kerosene, we got the matches, things have to burn down. We cannot build on top of the old understandings that we had. You know, so, I mean, there's some ancient understandings that work for us, but there are things that keep us limited. So chime in. We look forward to having that podcast. And again, Light Body Movement, you can access all the previous recordings with the subscription. So anything that you feel like you've missed, you didn't miss, just go back to the recording. And then also, hold on a second, got another dancing lady who signals. I'm like, what is she saying? Joy, you have 5 minutes left, 5 minutes left. Y'all can see this. Okay. I'm gonna wrap up. And that means no more questions today. But tune in every Thursday, 12 noon, we're here. And then, of course, lastly, Akashic Records Class. We're kicking off July 9th. This is a 3-day course. You can visit the Of The Sun website for this. Again, we're breaking down the distortion to help you step back into your power. You are the Akasha. And we're going to be speaking about the Akasha more frequently as we get closer to the class to help you be informed with this. Share a couple of gems here and there. But again, if you're looking to take the next leap into your advancement with spirituality and learning how to read your records or that of another person, join this class with Of The Sun. And so, like I said, we had the dancing lady. I can't keep going no more, you all. It's been real. I do want to say thank you, honor, respect, and gratitude to everyone who's joined the live stream. We see you, we hear you, we feel your support. We feel very supportive from our YouTube family. It was somebody who was Spanish. Greetings of the sun. You know, it was dropping Spanish words, and it was like, oh my gosh, like we have reach in South Africa, we have reach in the UK, we have reach in Dubai, we're all over. We have already, for quite some time, for years, have had reach in other countries, but it's building. The notoriety is building because we're seeing people really resonate with the message and the information of truth. Again, helping you see yourself in everything, this oneness and truth thing. So, Laos, do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
I'd like to thank everyone and let you know that we do feel embraced, and we return to you the same kind of love and consideration that you extend to us. Thank you with honor, respect, and gratitude. In Lakesh and Veritas. Thank you.
Accashic Veritas.